Welcome back to the Farmstead Farm Podcast, your Southern hub for all things homesteading. Today we're talking about healthy homestead swaps, simple changes for your body, your cleaning routine, your laundry room, and even your kitchen tools that can help reduce toxins and support a more natural lifestyle. Joining us is Rachel Smith, nurse practitioner, sharing practical insights on making safer choices for your home and family. And remember, nothing in this podcast constitutes medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your health routine. If you're ready to clean up your homestead from the inside out, listen in now. Welcome back to the Farmstead Farm Podcast, your Southern hub for all things homesteading. Come grow with us today as we learn about safe swaps for your body, for your homestead, and cleaning your homestead, and in your kitchen. I'm joined today by our guest, Rachel Smith from Reclaiming Health 365. Rachel, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Emily. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So we kind of got a little preview when you taught at the Farmstead Farm. I'm sure you gave a little bit of advice about safe swaps. Why don't we start with your body and as far as what things you should swap out? I know I went through my own little detox journey of Bath and Body Works products because
girl.
Yeah. I found this app. It's called Clearia, and you can scan the label and then it'll tell you what all is harmful, what countries ban those ingredients. And it's like everything I scanned from my Bath and Body Works stuff. I was like crying, throwing it out because it's so expensive and I hate wasting stuff. So tell us a little bit about some safe swaps you would recommend for your body.
Totally started there, except I didn't have the benefit of apps when I started. I had to learn ingredients and know what to skip and go away from. So, please stay away from Bath and Body Works. Everything they produce, even candles
too.
So let's talk about that straight out of the gate. Anything like that, any of those major chemicals, fragrances, phthalates, parabens, triclosan, sulfates, all of those are major, not just chemicals, but hormone disruptors. So we've got a huge issue in the United States with early onset puberty, with women with major hormone issues. And unfortunately, a lot of our women's health practitioners don't know how to do proper hormone testing to actually help balance that out. So we are very high estrogen. We are very toxin loaded. We are usually mineral and nutrient deficient, and our bodies don't function right. That's why we have so many women struggling postpartum, struggling hormonally, struggling with mental clarity, and so on. And it's just not something, infertility, absolutely. And that's aside from the whole product pushed for the last 5+ years, which has its own major issues there. But one of the problems here is the FDA is supposed to regulate our products, but they really don't. When we compare against the European Union and others, Europe bans over 2,000 ingredients from their products and from their shores that are allowed here in the United States per the FDA.
Gosh, that's crazy.
So one of the things that I look for majorly is, are we doing it naturally? Let's face it, our grandparents, our great-grandparents had a completely different health profile than we do today. They grew their own food. They baked their own bread. They butchered their own animals or went to the butcher. They dipped their own candles and so on. And they had little to no meds, and they lived easily until their 70s to 90s to hundreds. And most everybody here is on some kind of medication, to huge lists of medications, poor health, and spends all their extra money at the doctors. So I'm all about this, things that we can swap out. So candles, I had to go hunting for this, okay? Candles that you can get off the shelf like this, Bath and Body Works, etc. All of these fragrances are chemical based. Not only that, but I learned from somebody who used to work at Bath and Body Works, it's not even the highest concentration in the candle that you think you're smelling at the store, because they have additional fragrance they go and spray in the top of it to magnify the smell so that you will buy it. So all of that's aerosolized. All of that is through your olfactory system. All of that is going in, and it continues that hormone disruption. All major fragrances are chemical based, and the majority are tied to hormone disruption. So what can we do? We can do things like trading out. I love beeswax in particular. Some people are doing soy-based candles with the clean fragrances or essential oils in them. definitely go more essential oils. The problem with soy candles is it is a phytoestrogen and can continue to increase that estrogen to progesterone imbalance in a lot of people. So
I
do
didn't
I
think
use it
about that.
sometimes? Sometimes. What I
Yeah.
prefer are things like beeswax candles. These are rolled beeswax candles. You can get them formed from different artists. This one I got for my kids. It's a little bear on this honey pot. They are all about Pooh Bear. So I got that one for my kids.
How
Or
cute.
you can find beekeepers who are willing to sell their beeswax. You can order it and already done off Etsy, or if you know how to pour your own candles, which is not a hard skill to learn, you can get pounds of it, or you can get things like this with the beeswax granules and do your own forms,
Oh,
tapers, et cetera. And
I didn't
Azure,
know Azure. I didn't know
yeah,
they
they have
sold
a
that.
fantastic base if you are looking for clean swaps for your family, for your kitchen, for your ingredients, or even things like this. So I grabbed this because, hey, do it yourself, right? So
Yes.
if you have that connection through your homestead, or if you want to just start with someplace clean, that's the kind of thing to do it. Now, all of the stuff that is easy to just go to the mall, go to Walmart, etc., to get those kinds of products, have these phthalates, sulfates, paraben. If you have somebody in your family who has the acne down their scalp, down their shoulders, down their back, I guarantee you they're using sulfate and phthalate shampoo and conditioner, because it's tied directly to it. You cut that out, a lot of that goes away. Okay. So you need clean ingredients. Clean ingredients. I say at least start with the European Union standard, those 2,000 ingredients banned that are those major chemicals, hormone disruptors, health disruptors. But also, if you want to go past that, you can do that. I like a company called Arbonne. I was one of those faithful people who used the dermatology recommended skincare that was advertised by the young celebrities for all of those years. Used it for about 14 years and did not realize what damage it was doing to my skin. Yeah, I didn't have as many breakouts, but it was pushing everything in and keeping it in. When I switched to clean skincare, I had weeks of just horrific, covered, scarring kind of acne breakouts. And it took several years to get it all out that had just been pushed into my skin and kept there through that skincare product. And it also caused some gut disbalance and so on. So it took me several years to get that fixed. I switched to a company called Arbonne. That's one of several companies that meets the European Union standards. I now use their skincare exclusively. It's the best one that I have found for my body, for my family. They have a clean skincare line for children called the ABC line. It's all I've used on my babies if it was not a straight up pure made bar of soap. They've got lotion, they've got diaper cream, etc. So this one is actually my skincare regimen. This is a mixture of two brands from them. They try to use more natural things. They do use some chemistry, as we say, in there because they want it to also be shelf stable. These ones open to last at least 6 months. And both of these, cleanser and moisturizer, will last me 6 months of use. So they last a really long time. I also use their makeup. I used to use some other ones. I used Bare Minerals until she sold it and the formulas got changed. I loved the ground minerals. I still have some of their old eye colors and stuff when it was just ground up minerals, ground up mica, that kind of thing in there. But then I switched. I couldn't get the coverage I needed and couldn't get my skin to stop breaking out and continuing to do that. Once I switched skincare and once I switched makeup, this is what I have today, along with healing my gut and working on that. So foundation, they've reformulated this. It's got a different color lid now. And mascara and stuff. These are what I use. I have some friends who swear this is all they will use because of the change it made in them. They also have a lot of like nutraceuticals, protein powder, those kinds of things that are actually clean. They're not soy-based, they're not whey-based, they're not milk-based, because a lot of the problem with how they process those here in the United States, they become really toxic. And yeah, people love them for bodybuilding and bulking up and stuff, but you're actually bulking up with water weight and bulking up with the toxin load, not the clean load. I took my husband when we were dating. It took me forever to get him off the whey protein. Within a month of switching him over to Arbonne, all of this water weight he was carrying with one or two other diet changes to just peeled right off of him. And I was like, honey, he works out. He's a big muscular guy. But I used to tell him his muscles were under the covers, and it was just the water weight and inflammation. And now he doesn't have any of that once we got that kind of cleaned up. So those are some of the things. Watch what you put on your skin. The skin is the largest organ of the body. So
Yes,
anything you put in is going to go inside. I mean, we use some medications right in patches, right? Because it's going to absorb through the skin and still have a systemic effect. So that's going to be a major thing. You want to consider what you're putting on your skin is having an effect in every organ and blood vessel, blood, cell in your body.
I think before I made the switch, there was this part of me that did. It was like, how much could this really affect my hormones by putting it on my skin? But it does, because like you said, I mean, we give medications to go across your skin to absorb, and everything is cleared out through your liver,
Yep.
so or your kidney. So, I mean, it makes a big difference, especially when you're covering both legs, both arms, or your face
Yep.
every day.
Are you
It
doing it
makes a
with
big difference.
moisturizer? Are you doing it with that? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, go get tallow,
Yep.
pure grass-fed beef tallow or lamb tallow, ewe tallow, and use that for moisturizers. There are a couple I like that are shea butter moisturizers and stuff. Arbonne has one of those. I
Did
use
you
the Manuka honey
see
one.
Waymaker when you were at the Farmstead Farm?
Yes,
Did you see? Okay,
yes.
I use her. I use some of her tallow products, and then also a Humble Homestead, Kayla Hale. She makes a tallow, face cream, or just a
Mhm.
tallow cream, whipped tallow. I put that on my face. I also use it as like something to help my eyeshadow stick there.
Stay holder. Yeah,
I just put a little bit on my eyelid before I put my
yeah.
eyeshadow on. Um, and then also, I was going to mention when you were talking about the protein powders and stuff, did you know Azure makes a pea based protein powder?
I hadn't seen that one yet. I'll have to go
Yeah,
look.
I bought it for like, with breastfeeding, which you could understand because you still
Oh,
have
very
little one and breastfeeding. Um, that, just making like healthy shakes and stuff to help with supporting that. I bought it for that.
much.
So I've just actually started drinking it again. And I'll add some steel cut oats to it too, just
Yeah. Mhm.
for a little bit of boost. But
Yeah, and
anyway,
particularly if you're working out, need a post-workout thing. If you're a nurse and mama, like honestly, if I didn't have my shake where I could grab something on the go, some days I would not eat. If just because so much is happening in our life, and I have a lot of littles at home, so having that option has been a really good thing. My husband uses it as post-workout or midday after he's had a really long day. He'll use that to kind of keep his levels um, more balanced, and as a sneak peek of the next one, as we talk about switches nutritionally, it's really important to keep those protein levels at a certain level, but we can save that for the next one. So those are some of my skin based ones. Now, skin also transfers into what do you do your laundry in? Because
yep.
here's the thing, everybody loves those Tide Pods, Gain Pods, whatever else. And whether it's in your laundry or in your dishwasher, those are microplastics. So as it warms up in the water enough to bust it open to get it out, you're now getting all those microplastics as well as heavy chemicals for the cleaners on your clothes that you're going to be living in, sleeping in, working out in, and sweating and opening those pores and so on. So every little decision along the way, and this can get into major information overload for some people, is just like, well, where do I even start? Because everything's trying to kill us, right? And it's easy to get in that with the doom scrolling of these days, right? And here's what I tell folks when they're working with me: start with one place that's going to work for you. And if you need to use things up because maybe you're a family on a very tight budget, use up what you have and then buy cleaner the next time when you replace it. Okay. So that was part of what I did. I lived without a dishwasher for a while. Bless my husband and my father. They finally installed one for me. When you got lots of littles eating multiple meals and snacks a day, it's kind of necessary. But I did not want to go back to the major detergents that were used for the dishwasher, particularly when I found out that some of the statistics say that the average American ingests as much plastic as would be in a credit card in one calendar year. Between heating stuff in plastics, which please don't ever do. I put all my stuff in glass for heating, glass or china. I've just about gotten all of the plastics out of my kitchen, almost there. Again, replacing
Have you
as
got rid of your microwave yet?
I am transitioning our system right now to timing things to be able to heat them on the stove or in the oven so that I can tell my husband, all right, rip it out.
So hard. I use
Not
my
there
air
yet, but
fryer.
I'm working on it. But those were some big things for me, particularly when I started having babies and I was looking at, well, we can't use the major chemicals on their clothes because it leads to diaper rashes and skin issues. Well, if their skin's that sensitive to it, fresh out of the womb, what's it doing to our skin? And then I looked at what's in Draft and stuff, and I was like, there is no way that is touching my child's diapers and so on. No
Yeah.
way. So I switched. I made two switches that I really love. Was switched over to Earthly for laundry detergent, and this is literally 6 ingredients, and it cleans our clothes very, very well. Now, my husband's military, and he told me that not to go back to the old way because when we did this, we did some testing and found out that the other detergents make their uniform show up on night vision. It
What?
actually glows.
Oh
It shows
my
on.
word.
And so we were like, oh crap. So he loves this. It comes in various scents. I use the unscented because of the babies, but
Yeah.
they do it with essential oils. I just didn't like having it on there, and he didn't want to smell like citrus going to work. So I've stuck with the unscented. The other thing you can do, add borax to your wash. It helps with mold. A lot of us here in this part of the country have moisture issues because of the climate here. It is supposed to help detox and remove certain things, particularly some of the stuff we've seen in the last 5 years. There's some mixed info on that, but there's supposed to be some removal on it. It's a great disinfectant, antifungal, and so on. So I throw a little bit of it in there with this to have that extra boost to it so that we can make sure we're getting things really clean in this more moist environment. And then for my dishwasher, I switched to this. It's a dishwasher powder. I don't use everything from this company. Honestly, I only use this right now. I know there's some other things that are really good. There's some other things they've got some ingredients I'm not okay with. So I don't support everything from every company. And I'll just go ahead and tell you that. These are things that have worked for me. Now, this one I've not found anything that I'm not okay saying, yeah, this is good. They have supplements and stuff as well. I use their mama's breastfeeding support. They also have an incredible muscle magnesium rub that I use if my kids are just restless, they can't settle down, whatever, we can use it on the kids. A lot of folks will have, muscle cramps. They'll try to use Bengay or Aspercreme or something like that. I use the magnesium. If I'm overstretched, cramping, whatever else, I use the magnesium. I had a sprain recently. I used the magnesium rub on it. It helped with the tissues. So this one has been pretty good as well. But also,
Do you
go
have
ahead.
a opinion? I've been mixing my own laundry detergent with, I do use borax. I
Mm-hmm.
mix also the Arm & Hammer laundry
Washing
booster
soda.
or washing soda.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mix in either a Fells naphtha bar, which may be the questionable ingredient, or I use like the Zote soap, which is like the clear Zote soap shavings.
Yeah. So I know you have to have something with some of that that fat in there to help it grab onto the clothes, to grab the
Yeah.
things that lift it. So I know some people will grate their own bars. Some will use more of a Castile soap. I think that's been the more favored one in the crunchy community, if you want to call
Do
it
they
that.
make that in like a bar form?
I don't think so. This one uses saponified coconut and extra virgin olive oil and bromelian. So when you see it, I'm not going to open it up right now because I don't want to spill it in here, but some of it is powder and some of it is little almost fat granules, it looks like, in there. And that's the
Oh,
oils.
okay.
It's in the oil. So the whole thing is in here. It's powder.
Uh-huh.
And it's one scoop. It's like not quite a tablespoon, I think. And that does your whole laundry. And I run to the max laundry loads pretty much every single time with the size of my family. So, also switch out your fabric softeners. Those are also chemically laden. They may smell great and it may be the smell you want in your nursery, but please don't. Okay. A lot of chemicals in there. You can do the exact same thing with white vinegar for $3 a gallon. Throw it in for your softener rinse. It's also antifungal. It's one of the only things that will kill mold naturally, and it softens and freshens very well. So for me, unless you have something you want to add here, that transitions me to my house cleaning also.
Oh,
So
I was
many,
going to say
go ahead.
on
Yeah,
laundry, don't use the dryer sheets. Get
right.
the
I
like
use
a
the wool dryer.
wool, yeah, wool dryer balls, sheep's wool.
Yeah, because again, we're talking about the chemicals, but those kind of double duty because it's helping it with the smell. If you want, throw a couple drops of essential oil on there and you can have whatever smell you want on your laundry. But the balls actually help to separate the clothes and throw them up more as it agitates.
Yeah,
And so it creates more airspace in there for them to dry faster. The
makes it more
oils are
efficient.
it's more efficient. The first pair I had lasted 10 years before I had to replace them. I just had to replace them last year. And
That's
that was
right.
because the wool was just
Yeah,
laid
coming apart.
in pieces. But yeah, it was about 10 years on one set. So, it was 10 or $15 and it lasted me about 10 years. So that's a whole lot better than $5 a box for a few sheets, right?
Okay, and let me tell you what I do for my dishes because
Mhm.
I make my own dish powder too. So I use the same Arm& and Hammer. Oh my
Washing
gosh,
soda.
washing soda. I
Hmm.
mix a cup of that with a half a cup of baking soda
Hmm.
and a quarter cup of citric acid.
Yeah, that's a good combo.
That's all I do. Then I
Combo
shake it up and I put several, I try to make enough where I'm not having to make it all the time. I
all the
just
time,
make it
right?
like once a month or once every 2 weeks. I'll have to throw it together.
I've seen some people even get like tubs, or for those who are making like the laundry, like their home cleaning soaps and stuff too, get the like big tubs that you can either dip out of or pour out of and just have them on a shelf in their pantry or their supply area. And then all you have to do is either dip out of it or put your container under it, pour it in, close it up, and then you're done for 6 months at a time or a year
Yeah.
at a time.
Yeah.
And I think for those of us who are trying to get back to the basics and homestead and, kind of home pharmacy things, for some of it, it's if we're going to put the effort in, take 30 more minutes at that time to have to do it twice a year instead of monthly or whatever else. It makes our energy and our time go farther. So for me, part of this has just been learning where to source some things that I was comfortable with being in my family. And I will say I'm still constantly vetting things as formulas change. Do I stay with it? Do I drop it? Have I found something cleaner that actually works for our family? I'm still trying to
Did
get my husband off traditional toothpaste. The kids and I are all on clean toothpaste and I can't get him off of it. We'll get there. We're still
I
working
know,
on that. You know?
same situation. Before we continue, I want to remind you that all of the show notes and resources mentioned in today's episode are available on our website at farmsteadforum.com. If you're finding value in this content, please take a moment to like this episode and subscribe to the Farmstead Forum podcast on YouTube and Spotify. It truly helps support the show. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on upcoming episodes, events, and everything happening with Farmstead Forum. Thanks so much for being here and for supporting this community. Over here, I'm buying like the tooth powder, with the calcium incorporated into it, and it's like got bentonite clay and peppermint
Yeah.
oil and stuff. Waymaker makes it, and
Okay.
now I have my son using that.
Mm-hmm.
And but my husband, I don't know if he'll ever be on the tooth powder board. He'll just be like shaking his head.
Yeah.
Um, there was
Haven't gotten
something
there yet.
there was something else I was going to say about. Oh, you were talking about stuff changing, like for
Mm-hmm.
people, like trusted brands changing. Have you heard that Dr. Bronner's changed hands and it now belongs to like his grandson? And there's this like creepy demonic like picture of Dr. Bronner, but like on the inside it's like a grayish photo
No, I
on the
hadn't seen that.
inside of the bottle. And then now there's all this witchcraft, like weird new agey stuff on the
Ooh,
outside
I
and the
bet you can.
writing. And then people say that it's actually changed like the way that it feels when it goes on their skin, like it makes them a little itchy. So like they've changed something. So
For
if
sure.
you have the creepy old guy on the inside of your Dr. Bronner's bottle, you
No.
better not buy that anymore from wherever you got it from.
Oh my gosh. So
Anyway.
the thing is, a lot of these companies start off really well, and once they make it big, they get bought out by a big company. So like Burt's Bees started out pretty well. I think they're now owned by Clorox. If I
Oh
remember,
Lord.
Native um, just got bought out like 2 years ago. They are now owned by one of the big box companies. So all the ones we've been trying to get away from to use something cleaner, those companies are coming in and eating up the little guys who became their big competition. And so now they're keeping the name of the brand because people think, oh, well, I've always used this. But the formulas are changing and the ownership is changing, and they're no longer that standard of staying really clean. We're trying to stay away from the chemicals that are poisoning our land and our bodies and our homes. Because think about it, the places you spend the most time are going to be work, school, and home, right? Well,
Yeah.
most of our jobs are cleaned with major chemicals, right? Most of our kids' places, if your kids are in daycare or school or anything, are cleaned with major chemicals. And if you're doing that at home as well, you're basically staying in a toxic chemical soup no matter what your environment is, from what you're sitting on, what you're touching, what you're drinking out of, what you're wearing, what you're sleeping on, etc. We recently made the change from sheets that had been given to us as wedding presents that I later realized were polyester. So you're sleeping in plastic, leaching plastic chemicals that's not breathing. And my husband and I, over the time, started having more and more sleep issues. I just switched us to 100% European flax linen sheets. And I could tell a difference within 2 nights. He could tell a difference in about a week. Sleeping better, sleeping deeper. And I decided to make the switch because I had started reading some research that a lot of the early 1900s to about 1950s, the sick were put in linen patient gowns and linen sheets because they knew it helped to heal tissues faster.
Oh, how interesting.
And so as I did a lot of this research, um, it kept coming up that it was tied to healing. And I thought, well, that's an easy switch. Let's just try it. I'll risk $100 on a set of sheets. I need a new set anyway. One of them's getting worn out. And I started thinking clearer, sleeping better. And this is with children that still don't sleep all the way through the night consistently. And feeling like I was not drained when I woke up. And it's been enough response in myself and in my husband that I think I'm just going to disperse of all the non-natural fiber sheets. I also have pure, 100% pure cotton sheets for a different bed in the house. I'll keep those. I'll keep linen, and all of the synthetic stuff is saying bye. It's just not worth it for our long-term health because the seeds you're planting today will be the harvest that you reap down the road, right? Whether it's the seeds we put in our ground or the seeds and decisions we make for our health. If you are sowing illness and disease now, you will reap it in 5, 10, 20 years. If you are sowing the
Yeah.
disease health now, then your 40s, 60s, 80s are going to look very different based on which seeds you plant now. So those small decisions magnify over time to bring different outcomes. So this has been worth it to me, even though I have to invest a little more. It's worth it to me to not have the medical bills.
That's right.
Okay, so a friend of mine said to me years ago, she said, you'll either pay the farmer or the doctor, but you will be paying one of them. Choose which one you want to pay. I chose to choose the farmer or the clean ingredients over the doctor, and we've had very few medical bills outside of emergency situations in my family. And that being some of these changes, as well as some of the ones we'll talk about on the next interview. So Are we good to talk about just house cleaning and stuff?
Yeah, you could talk about that, either that or kitchen, whichever one you want to jump into.
Okay. I think house cleaning is kind of because it's all purpose there. And this kind of overlaps both. So cleaning my kitchen, cleaning my house, cleaning my toilets, etc. I use only a few things. It's really, really easy. There's not something for the windows and something for the toilet and something for the tub and something for the floors. I've gone down to just a couple things. First of all, I clean almost everything with baking soda and vinegar. Baking soda and or vinegar. Baking soda is a great abrasive. I've had rust on countertops and stuff I've not been able to get up. Baking soda with some elbow grease took it right out of the counters. I use it for my toilets. I use it for my tub, my sinks, etc. You just got to make sure you wash it really well or it can eat into your faucets. I clean floors with vinegar. I have pets that come inside pets, and I will clean up behind them with vinegar. It cleans it, it disinfects it, it brightens the smell. The other thing I use for my general disinfectant, degreaser, etc. So like if I've been handling raw meat, processing meat, oil or something has splattered over the stove or whatever else, I use Thieves. So this is Young Living, is a essential oil company. It's one of the only ones I trust. Most of them don't own their land, don't sometimes even know where they're sourcing their products from. You don't know if you're getting pesticides, etc. And when they distill it down to the essential oil, that magnifies because of the concentration of everything. So Thieves is 6 ingredients. So cloves, citrus, lemon peel, cinnamon, rosemary, and eucalyptus, and a couple things with water, just to keep it suspended. There's a dilution table on the back, and I just put it in one of these bottles. And this is my grab and go for everything. The kids have an accident, I spray behind it with either Thieves or vinegar. I need to degrease something, I spray behind it with Thieves, and it cleans it. So that, the baking soda and vinegar, and then Norwex wipes. These are the only other things I really use to clean my house.
I have
These,
Norwex.
you
Yes.
do?
Uh-huh. Some
I
nurses
found
I
out
used to work with sell that.
Over to jump on her party because she needed more people. And when I heard the science behind it, I went, silver impregnated. Okay, I'm a nurse. We use silver impregnated bandages to prevent post-op infections and so on. So I already knew the science of it from my nursing side. And then I decided to try it because all you have to do is wet it with water and start cleaning. So this is kind of the everyday cleaning one. There's a purple one that I use for my windows. I don't use Windex or anything like that anymore. Even on our vehicles, I use a microfiber wipe to clean this sticky, foggy side on the inside. And that's it. And I use this on my mirrors and they get them spotless. I have had glass shelves in some of my furniture, cleaned it with these kinds of things. If I'm needing a little more elbow grease or disinfecting kind of thing, I'll just wet this and use it. And then all you have to do, it does have specific washing instructions. You can't throw it in your main wash because it has to be like hot water and a pure detergent. They sell their own, but guess what? This does it too. This is the standard.
I was going to ask you if that one was okay because it has to be scent free.
Yeah, it's scent free, and it has to have certain ingredients or certain ingredients not included. This one does it. So I do my boiling hot water and this, let it sit, rinse it out, and I'm ready to clean again. So that literally, they have a dusting cloth also. I have a microfiber dusting cloth. So it just traps it. And that one I can just throw in the wash when I'm done. So whatever won't shake out, I throw it in the wash, dry it, put it back up with my cleaning stuff. That's about the majority of the cleaning stuff you'll find in my house. Brooms, stuff like that. But that's about it.
The little travel size Norwex cloth. It comes in like a 4-pack. It's like for you to quickly wipe something down, but there's like 4. There's 4 small cloths. So I bought that for when I had toddlers. Now I have an infant, but back when I had Holland, I think I bought it, and I put one in each bathroom. So that way I just have one small cloth and it costs less. It was like $20 for this 4-pack, but I put one in each bathroom. And then if I'm in there and I'm thinking about my ADD kicks in and I'm thinking I need to clean the bathroom real quick, I just literally put the water on it and wipe it down and then, hang it up to dry. Because once it dries, it also cleans itself. I think you only have to clean them like you're talking about in the boiling water with baking soda or whatever you clean it with, or vinegar, when they're visibly dirty, right?
Yeah. So like we had my house is a reno house. We're slowly renovating it over years. So I've had times where it's an area we haven't cleaned, or we've just done a lot of renovation and I need to clean it down, and it is just stuff caked on my cloths. I'll rinse them out really well and clean them then. But from time to time, I do it, I wring it out, and I let it dry, and that's about it. Because they do have that silver impregnated in there, which is antimicrobial and cleans it itself. So that's a pretty easy cleaning, whether you're in your kitchen, bathroom, main part of the house. I just use a regular vacuum for the floors and stuff. I use more the essential oil cleaning for my mopping my floors. Still trying to get my husband off of one of the chemical ones, but that's very rare now.
You don't use the Norwex mop?
I don't have it yet.
I have the little mop system. I will say that's been a great investment because I'm not buying and it works really good. And then sometimes it comes with a dusting mop pad and then like a wet mop pad. So I'll take the dusting one after, and sometimes I won't even sweep first. Sometimes I'll just use the dusting one and I'll just run through my whole living area upstairs, and then I'll get my dustpan and sweep it up. But that just traps everything in the microfiber. But it is a good thing. It's a good investment. If
I'll
you're
have to
looking
look at that one. I hadn't seen that one yet. I do have a steam mop that I use. My husband didn't like it as much. I had gotten it because of the indoor pets. I wanted to be able to disinfect without chemicals, but I found it didn't do quite as well for what they track. And so my husband didn't like that. So we haven't used it as much, but if I feel like I need to like really disinfect or like sterilize the floor, I'll use the vinegar, or I'll get out the steam mop and use it over the area too. The last thing I wanted to talk about as far as kitchen related that you had mentioned is watch what you're cooking with. So if you've got Teflon coated nonstick pans, anything like that, they've actually shown, Teflon was created for the aerospace field, so that things could fleck off of the airplanes, the spacecrafts, etc. And then they started using it on cookware for that perfect slide off nonstick finish. The problem is the moment that gets damaged, it microflakes off of it, and you are ingesting the chemicals of that coating. You don't need it, quite honestly. You don't need it. If you have stainless steel that you use butter or tallow or something like that in it, and you get the pan hot before you put something in it, meat, eggs, whatever, it won't stick, or it will stick very easily, and they're very easy to clean up. If you will use the old-fashioned cast iron and keep it seasoned and get it hot before you put it in there, you do not need nonstick. Okay, so I have gone to it's stainless or cast iron. That's all I have, and I cook 3 meals a day, almost every day of the week. So it has to be easy. And with the stainless steel, I can throw it in my dishwasher. I've already got the clean detergent. I don't have to worry about it. Just make sure nothing's like caked on. If something's gotten too hot or whatever, I just run something over that, throw it in, and I walk away. I'm done. Or they're fairly easy to clean, if I need the space in my dishwasher and I do the big pots. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, if you're going to Walmart or whatever to buy your cooking implements, these are very popular. I'm saving these for talks just like this. These are very popular. They're supposed to be heat resistant to like 400 degrees, but it's made with a kind of plastic. Everybody's like, oh, it's BPA free. Well, the heat resistant ones are a different kind of plastic that has just as bad or worse chemicals than the BPA. These are also being reported to be recycled from electronics, like keyboards, mouses, various things in the computer field. And then you're heating and cooking your food on them. That's releasing microplastics into everything it touches while hot. Not a good idea. As soon as I found out about that, I did have some of these and a few other things. I started tossing everything. Stainless steel, from your measuring cups, measuring spoons, etc., to your cooking things. Now this one has a wooden handle. I have a couple that are steel with the wooden handle. I have some that are just straight stainless steel, and I can throw them in the dishwasher. Don't throw your wooden ones in the dishwasher, y'all, unless you're going to like majorly moisturize them, because they will crack and break later from the dehydration of the heat and everything. You can get bamboo ones or wooden ones. This is perfect for your cast iron or your stainless steel. And this set I bought at Aldi. They come 2 to a pack for like $2.50.
Oh, it's not bad.
They have them a couple times a year. I just grab a handful of them because eventually these do dry out and break. I'm not great at keeping mine moisturized, which is why I hand wash them. But you can get like, trying to think of what it's called. It's like cutting board butter, and it's a couple different oils and stuff, and just wash them really well, dry them, and then oil them a couple times a year. And that should be for your cutting boards as well. Same thing. You cut on the plastic, you're getting those microplastics where the knife cuts in through the food and into it. So you can get wood or bamboo or steel cutting boards. I don't like the steel ones because it dulls your knives a lot faster. So I'm pretty much sticking to the wood or bamboo for my own personal use. But then when they get a lot of cuts in them, wash it really well, scrub them down with kosher salt to disinfect it. You can use a lemon if you want to kind of hold the salt and rub it over it. And so you're getting the lemon oil and the kosher salt. Lightly sand it and rinse it all down. And then once that's dry, put the cutting board oil on it. So I think it's a couple different oils and fats in there, and you just rub it in it and let it dry, and it will keep these for a long time.
So I haven't ditched my plastic cutting board yet, because I've heard that you're not supposed to use wooden cutting boards for meat and for dairy products. So that's my only drawback to ditching it.
I have one designated one for meat. It is everybody knows that's my meat cutting board. But honestly, what I've started doing is cutting it right from the package using like kitchen shears or whatever, and just letting the package hold, if I've got a flat of chicken I'm doing or something, I'll just go ahead and cut all of the bone or fat or whatever else out into the container that it's holding. And then I'll just go ahead and chop it up with my shears right into the pan or right into the bag or whatever else. Because honestly, I hate chopping chicken. It's just a personal peeve of mine. My husband likes it, uniform, so it cooks evenly and it's got the right texture and everything. I hate chopping chicken. So I put out a thing on one of my stories of help other mamas out there. What's your solution? Because I hate doing this, but I love my husband. So, and a couple different friends messaged me and they were like, girl, grab your kitchen shears and just chop it. You're done. I was like, duh. And that's what
I don't have kitchen shears. What are they?
They're like scissors, but they're scissors that are strong enough to go through like a chicken breastbone. You can generally, some of them you can't. I have both the kind you can't and the kind you can. They will lock together. So you put them on this way and lock them, and they'll interlock. So they'll keep the scissor action. But then when you're done, you can take them apart and disinfect them, sterilize them, throw them in the dishwasher, whatever else. So they were originally designed for dealing with meats. Most of them were designed for like being able to cut through a chicken breastbone to butterfly your chicken or something like that. And so I just keep them and I use them for chopping up meats, cutting into meat packages, something where I know I'm going to want to sterilize it later because, please, foodborne illness is rampant, particularly in home cooking. If you're going to be working with raw meat, make sure you sterilize the area behind it. So I've trained my family. If you have raw meat, the knives you're working with, the scissors you're working with, whatever, it goes into one side of the sink. We boil it afterwards, and then we leaves the area, our workspace, so that we're not getting cross-contamination. And now it runs pretty smoothly now that they've all learned this is the order that we do. It takes 2 or 3 more minutes maybe for the whole time, and nobody having a massive food poisoning GI bug later.
Very good. Is there any other kitchen swaps you wanted to talk about?
Those are probably my biggest ones. If you've got kids trying to move away from the plastic dishes and such. It's really hard when they're still learning how to hold things and not drop them. But stainless steel is an option. It's easily dishwasherable. It holds up. It doesn't matter if you drop it, you might get a dent, but that's about it. There are certain kinds of melamine that do not have formaldehyde in them. The ones that you just get straight off the shelf generally have formaldehyde in them. When it gets hot, that chemical is going to be released. So you kind of have to look and see what ingredients are in it, or if it says, formaldehyde free. But those tend to be a lot harder to break than doing a traditional stoneware or china or something like that. So as long as you have littles still learning how to hold things or eat over the table, or how to handle those dishes, then that would be a really good swap as well. And then for my adults in the house, we just use either china or stoneware. And
what about little toddler silicone plates?
I do use silicone for my youngest. I really did not want to get him started with the plastics. We haven't gone 100% plastic free because I'm in that replacing as we're wearing out, or replacing as we have a little extra stage right now of slowly getting stainless steel everything for the kids. But it was easy to start with just utensils. Walmart has a set of 18/8 stainless steel utensils for like $10. And I just bought, maybe it's $8. Anyway, the prices keep changing, so who knows? I just bought several packs of that. And that way, that's what they put on the table. And I'm slowly phasing out their favorite colored utensils. But the silicone seems to be better. There's some report that it's still not, we'll say, crunchy level approved. But it's definitely better than those more flexible plastics, or the really hard formed plastics that people will still tend to microwave in, or whatever else. We've exchanged convenience for health, or health for convenience, you could say. Both parents are having to work and everybody's on the run, and you've got sports to get to, or childcare to pick up, or whatever else stressor is on the family. It's easy to grab whatever works, whatever I can throw in the dishwasher, whatever I can microwave fast and get out the door. But we are literally exchanging our health, and I would even dare say our progeny to some extent, for that sake of convenience, because we don't know how bad it's going to mess up their hormones and their health from these infancy and toddler stages. We're seeing, when I was young and hitting puberty age, the average age was 12 to 14. The average age now is age 8 to 9. When these girls are hitting their menstruation. We've got what was the statistic I read the other day on that study? The average man of reproductive age now, so we're talking 20s, 30s, was what they were looking at in the study, has the testosterone level of a 70-year-old from our parents to grandparents' years.
Yeah.
So we're not just seeing it on the female side, but testosterone has dropped, sperm count has dropped, all of these soy milks, oat milks, microplastics, chemicals. Some people will say, this is ridiculous. The quote from Alex Jones, making the frogs gay with the water. But there's actually studies that show that it shifts with those reptiles that can be asexual. It will literally switch them to female. Well, when it's in our water sources, what is that doing to our reproductive hormones? We actually have seen a huge drop in testosterone levels since they've included that. And we've seen a higher level of estrogen to progesterone imbalance with estrogen dominance. Mm-hmm. So all of these things play a part. There's some things we cannot control. I mean, unless you're going to be out being major politically active about your water boards and your county extension, which I encourage. If it is something of passion to you, if it's something that's going to affect your family or, your community, absolutely be out there, be doing that, because otherwise there's no voice of the community. But there's some things we can't control. We can't control what chemicals are put in through the water treatment system. We can't control other things. What we can control are these kinds of swaps. Whether or not we decide we want to invest in a whole house water filter system so that a lot of that is filtered out before it even comes through our faucet. Whether or not you're going to put filters on your faucets or your bathtub for your kids, whether or not you're going to clean the water before you drink it instead of just drinking the tap water. All those little decisions that may seem huge at first, again, make the small changes that you can at each juncture. Okay. I'm going to change my laundry detergent. Guess what? I love how it works. This is the laundry detergent we're going to use as long as they keep that ingredient in that standard. Okay. I changed dishwashing detergents. It actually cleans better than the Cascade I was using prior. I had stuff that was coming out filmed and everything else. And I had stuff from filming glasses to vases with flour residue in there from flowers that had died in the vase and everything else, ran it through the dishwasher, and then came out sparkling. I was like, whoa, Cascade didn't even touch this. So as long as they keep that standard, I'm probably going to stay with them. As long as some of these other companies keep those standards that I'm fine with, I will stay with them unless they change or I find something that's even cleaner that works for my family. But it does not have to be the total decision burden, the mental overload, particularly on those of us who are women who are usually having to make the majority of these decisions for our families. Make the decision that's pressing right now. Find a company or a product that you're comfortable with and make that swap. The next time you have something, make that decision. If you go to my social media, I'm primarily on Instagram right now, or you can email me. On my social media, I have a link to a lot of the companies that I'm comfortable saying I'm okay using these in my own family. And you can see if that meets your standard or not. But I've done a lot of the hard work of years of reading through stuff. No nasty ingredients. If it's got the ones we mentioned before, sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium laureth sulfate. By the way, those are known carcinogens. If it's got propylene glycol in it, guess what? You're putting antifreeze on your body. What do they tell us about not letting our pets get near it because of causing liver crystallization and internal damage, right? Well, you're putting it on your skin. Why? Because it suds and makes it slick, and that's what people think they need to feel clean. So when you trade off those, then you're slowly, step by step, making these changes. Start changing out your chemicals for baking soda and vinegar. I get a gallon of vinegar at a time, and I get a 10-pound bag of baking soda about once every year or two. And those are my major cleaning products with the Thieves and the Norwex. It's really easy to keep my laundry and my cleaning space organized because there's not much in it, but it works for everything.
That's great. Well, I'm going to link Rachel's, all of her social media information in the show notes. I also wanted to give you an opportunity, Rachel, because we kept hinting to it, but we're going to do a part 2 with talking more about food swaps. Mm-hmm. So you want to kind of give a little brief intro on what that's going to be about?
Yeah. So part of what I do at Reclaiming Health is to teach people the steps to take back their health. And it's what we talked about today as part of it, medical decisions, just empowering people to know where to look or how to read the data for themselves instead of just taking their medical advice from the news. And then nutritional swaps. So a big part of it is, again, choosing to pay our farmer over our doctor for the most part, so that we can have those things. So things about how do we balance our blood sugar? What do we know to be healthy fats versus inflammatories? Let's get those inflammatory levels lower, because we're now knowing that inflammation is the root of many diseases. And a lot of the things that we're trying to cover over or decrease the symptoms of with pharmaceuticals, such as statins, are not the actual cause. They are the response to the cause. So when we get down to the baseline of some of these things, we can literally start reversing some health issues.
So I'm curious how you manage to work in a cardiology practice without prescribing statin drugs.
I do.
Well, it's so hard. But you know, I was kind of in a similar situation. I kept taking people off statin drugs and recommending alternatives like red rice yeast and, you know, some different designs for health products. And then my colleague or somebody else would see them in the office and they put them right back. Like, oh, you need to get back on your statin drug. I'm like, no.
I know. Yeah, where I was, that was not an option for
Yeah.
most people, but a lot of people have side effects from it. We know that statins are a direct link to dementia because they so lower the cholesterol needed for the brain function that we cause early onset dementia. This is literally in continuing education classes. It's part of the education out there, but off topic, but as medicine has changed to now have to function under the college's guidelines instead of independent critical thinking practitioners, it's more of check the box medicine, even though each person is not the same as the person beside them, nor should their care be the same.
Mm-mm.
So it's
So
really become check the box
our
medicine.
ATP guidelines for prescribing for cholesterol management, the ATP3 guidelines were, I think, assembled by about 10 or 11 different cardiologists, like collaborating on this group effort. And from what I understand, like 9 out of those 10 doctors had financial ties to the statin drug companies.
That is very typical across the board. We've seen that from them to ACIP, which is the Advisory Committee on Vaccine Immunization Practices for the CDC. That before Robert F. Kennedy switched, fired everybody and changed who was on the board. I think all but one of them had direct ties to vaccine manufacturers or had created one that was in the pipeline that was going to come later. So it was kind of a under the table handshake of, if you approve mine, I'll approve yours later. And so when he came in and fired it, it was a big furor of uproar. But if you look at who's on there now, he has from the very pro-vax, this is the only answer for us, to Dr. Robert Malone, vaccine mRNA creator, to kind of midline. These may be the option, may not always be the best option, to almost what some people would consider anti-vax side across the 11 seats. So you've got everything from pro, this is the only option, to not supporting, as being voices looking over these immunizations coming down the pipeline and what should the schedule be. And so what we've seen now is, instead of it being 72 to 80 doses by age 18, they've now just reversed that and said that we need to be on Denmark's schedule, 11 doses, with some others being optional as shared decision making between the parents and the practitioner. So that's a huge, huge change, just in taking those who had all the financial gain from royalties and ownership and so on off the board to a more across the board, and dare I say, a little more impartial view, because you've got voices from every step along the way there, re-examining it and the outcomes from our kids. So that's just one of many examples. The thing now is that with it being guideline directed medical therapy, these colleges, for instance, ACOG, ACC, ADA, AAP, etc., they now get their own group of scientists together to review the literature and then make the recommendations that all the practitioners under that area of medicine are supposed to practice by. The problem is we don't know what they chose to include, what they chose to leave out, whether they read more than the abstract and conclusion, because I have found many medical articles when you read it where the conclusion did not match what was included in the study, or you get into it and find that they changed study methods in the middle of it, or you get in there and you find that the scientists that did it got all of their funding from the manufacturer that they were examining, and so on. And so not all of it is solid science, right? A lot of it, even some of the ones that are being reviewed right now, we're finding that some of the studies that the FDA relied on for licensing certain things were ghostwritten by scientists or authors who had financial ties directly to the thing that was supposed to be regulated. So it was supposed to be an impartial study. It was released by somebody else, but it was actually ghostwritten by the people who needed it to be passed for their financial kickbacks. So you have to learn how to read those studies and to kind of learn what's good science or not. That's something else I do through Reclaiming Health, is teach people how do you look at this? How do you know what's solid and what's not? What are solid studies on various things? I'm kind of starting with one topic, and as I get questions on others, I'm going to build it out. But how do you find what's solid and what's not? What's just media noise and what's the truth? So like at the Farmstead Forum, I talked about the measles outbreak. And people are very, very scared about measles, and it's primarily due to the mainstream media. So what we found out, we were told by the influencer doctors, don't use vitamin A for it. Don't be trying to treat it yourself. Measles is deadly, etc. What we found out, they recently released a meta-analysis of this, but I had actually already done my own before I came to the Farmstead Forum. 10 years of data showed 4 measles related deaths, and 3 of them I was able to trace down and look at directly were from secondary infections, and 2 of those were from medical malpractice, because the doctors were so busy coming down on the parents for not vaccinating their child that they weren't paying attention to the pneumonia or the other thing that was going on there, and refused to treat them for days, and the child died. It was not from measles, it was from medical malpractice.
Oh, wow.
In comparison to that, in the same amount of time, per VAERS data, 42 children died directly related to the MMR or the MMRV shot. 4, which we know at least 3 of them were not directly related to the disease itself, versus 42 that were, per VAERS, directly related to receiving that immunization in the same 10-year period. Now, we know from the Lazarus and the Pilgrim study that VAERS is underreported up to 99%.
Right.
So these can be extrapolated as at least a 10 to 100 time higher level than is actually in that data. Okay. And this is Harvard's data. Okay. Also, part of what I presented at the Farmstead Forum, if you go and you look, so all these influencer doctors are saying, don't use vitamin A, don't be trying to treat this at home, your kid's going to die, et cetera, et cetera. Well, 4 deaths, 10 years, at least 2 medical malpractice in those. I pulled up from the CDC, the NIH, and Oxford, directly from their websites, about using vitamin A to treat measles and the dosages for doing so.
They had all that information on there?
It was on public domain.
Oh my goodness. Of course it was.
So
but don't do it. Don't use it.
Right. So this is where you have to learn how to get through the noise, past the influencers, past the fear mongers that's called the mainstream media, and actually go look at the data for yourself. Yeah. So I share some of these on Reclaiming Health. If you join my platform, I'm teaching people how to do this for yourself so you can actually get to the truth. It's out there. You just have to know where and how to look. What are you looking for? And that's what I'm teaching people to do.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for coming on the podcast. I look forward to episode 2 with you. And if you guys have questions, reach out to Rachel on her Instagram. I'll link that in the show notes. And thank you so much for all of your words of wisdom today.
It's always fun, Emily. Thanks so much.
All right. Hey, thanks for listening. Join our Facebook group and follow us on Instagram for the latest updates. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website for upcoming events. For sponsorship opportunities, reach out to us through our website. See you next time.